Himchin is the most down bad fresh out of college anime loser you will ever know. Bro got picked on all his life and still gets treated like absolute trash, especially by those tens since he ain't him. He's never even had a girlfriend before, so he's scared of eye contact with girls unless he knows they play Roblox too. But one thing is for sure, Bro is a sussy beka, as the one thing his eyes love to lock onto is any large extra bouncy twin pyramids of Giza. Regardless, his life turned downside up when the Fire Nation attacked and gave him a mysterious pink winning ticket. This ticket really made Himchin become him, because anytime he redeemed it, 7 Dragon Balls aligned to grant him unlimited power to get revenge on anyone. So let me start from the very beginning, as our boy is about to go on a quest to unlock infinite domain expansion powers thanks to his idol, the pervy sage. Anyways, one day at work, Bro got caught in 4K staring at his own manager's forbidden domain as they were out of her closet more than Lil Nas X, so he gets reprimanded for barely doing anything all day. Bro then cries after being forced to do overtime to finish out his work, knowing full well he's about to miss out on valuable solo alone time since he ran out of fresh tissues the other night. Nevertheless, Himchin becomes hardworking for an hour before procrastinating, causing him to scroll through social media, instantly making him sad again as he's the only one single, while all of his other friends already got kids or are happily in a long-term relationship. As such, Bro continues to doom scroll, but this time at a convenience store to drown his sorrows in ramen, where he ends up wishing he was exactly like the rest of the people he knows. However, enough is enough, so our boy decides he needs to change his life from now on, but the only way he could think of doing that is to spend all of his money on a lottery ticket, so he goes to buy one. Shortly after asking the beautiful worker for a ticket, she turns around and accidentally flashes Himchin with her fresh bakeries as they were out of this world, making our boy's third leg to appear out of nowhere, which almost pokes through his armored pants. Nonetheless, as they wiggle for sure, the store clerk continues to show off some legendary Giets, but ends up locking eye contact with our boy, where she then smiles and tells him that he's for sure not going to regret his decision. Unsure of what she meant by that, Bro just stands there like a doofus and tries his best to hide his upright spaceship since he's a sussy beka, whilst totally acting like he's mute after realizing he accidentally made eye contact with a random girl. Eventually, our boy gets saved from the awkward silence when the girl hands him a peculiar-looking ticket unlike anyone has seen before, while telling that Himchin can buy these from her whenever he wants, so try not to be shy. Fast forward an hour later, Bro makes it back to the office, but a bunch of dudes looking like Discord mods begin to surround Himchin as they cannot believe he just won the #1 ticket known to mankind, ticket number 69. With the ticket apparently allowing him to rice cake destroy anyone as long as he hands it to someone, all the boys' imaginations go running wild as they try their hardest to think of who they would choose wisely, as it can literally work on anyone in the world. However, at the same time, our boy is so confused as he thinks this is all just a prank, Bro, since he seems to be the only one oblivious to this type of win, as he has never heard of something like this before, so he tries asking them to cut it out. Regardless, the trio group of the tier 3 subs of Pokimane reassures our boy that it's actually real and that he should be ecstatic he just won, so they urge him to make the right choice as he wields the power of a god. Suddenly, as the group continues to geek out over what just happened to Himchin, they get ganked by 2 girls with personalities over the moon, including our boy's manager looking like she's about to lay down the WWE SmackDown on him for being too rowdy. But to make matters worse, Bro's left speechless as he knows he got caught red-handed slacking off again. So he tries to look left and right, but somehow everyone is already gone like the Flash, leaving him the only one left to stand the wrath of the two. With Himchin not saying anything to even defend himself like his usual beta self, he accidentally brings attention to his ticket by trying to hide it behind his back, causing his manager to order him to give whatever he is hiding to her right this instant. Upon our boy being forced to hand over his luck of the draw, Bro closes his eyes and gets ready to face ultimate punishment, whilst he imagines the manager about to kick his butt to the curb for even thinking about such a vulgar prize. But much to his surprise, instead of the worst outcome he imagined coming true, the manager ends up congratulating him for winning the jackpot, allowing him to open his eyes without any repercussions. She even hands the ticket calmly back to our boy, but she warns him to not give it to any female employees at the company, so maybe she's the true sussy baka here, as she does not rule out Himchin giving it to a dude. Anyways, after getting back his ticket with no damage done to his reputation, the other girl quickly ganks him from the side and acts all nice to him now, busy telling our boy how much she envies him, as she would totally use it on a celebrity. Nevertheless, after his encounter with the girls and finishing up work, our boy runs out of the building to try and cool off, as he does not understand what the heck is happening, making him wonder if he is going crazy. However, as Bro tries to make sense of everything by calling up all his knowledge on cultured anime, Our boy gets ganked again by another 10 that has Giets out of this world that you can feel and hear every time she took a step forward. After trying to make sure bro is okay as she caught him doing the 1,000-yard stare, she sits down to join him as we discover her name is actually Unbin. And apparently these two go way back as they were childhood friends where she was even his first ever crush. As such, the two catch up as it's been a while and turns out our boy has been ignoring her calls, so bro makes up the excuse that he's been too busy, but in reality he was too scared to pick up as he is always a scared little boy. Nonetheless, Unbin is a real one and does not mind how Himchin ghosted her. So she asks if they could both take a picture together with the food for her job since she is now a famous influencer, meaning she needs to post often to keep Sims following her. However, one picture is not enough for her, so as soon as she went for the second picture, she decides to get closer and quickly takes a picture with a cat filter while absolutely smashing our boy's head in between her twin pyramids of Giza. After getting unexpectedly ganked by the sussy Fire Nation, both of them acted like nothing happened, but we all know bro right now is busy trying to hold his king behemoth in as her golden retriever puppies felt like heaven to Himchin. Regardless, the two continue yapping about their lives. We discover that Unbin is quite a catch due to her actual personality as she can match his freak, and she even tries to give him advice on how to get girls after finding out bro is still single. But the more they talk, the more our boy looks like he is about to transform into a sussy beka as he keeps chugging drink after drink while staring at his childhood friend, busy thinking she wants him just because she is so nice. Eventually, Himchin actually goes insane in his membrane by somehow convincing himself that Unbin is actually trying to take his Virgo card from him without him realizing it, so he decides it's time for some counteraction. As such, we get a trip to his sussy mind, where he plans to try and take Unbin home just so he could have time to whip out the fated ticket right on top of his bed, and right there, and then is when he will strike with his force unleashed like it's the 4th of May. And to top it all off, Ro imagines that Unbin will be so happy and delighted to hear that he chose her over anyone else in the entire world to use his ticket on. So he basically thinks he is literally the greatest alpha skippity Rizzler. So after planning out everything in his head, including him thinking about all the prime positions he could get in, Bro snaps back to reality and begins looking like he is about to pull out his trap card whilst hoping that Unbin can become his lover. Unfortunately for our boy though, right before he was about to start his plan, Unbin ends up shattering Himchin's hopes and dreams by revealing to him that she has been trying to invite him to her wedding coming up soon. So she's glad to finally run into him by accident. Upon hearing the devastating news that Unbin is already taken, plus the fact that she's been rice cake destroying some other man all this time, Rose starts having a meltdown worse than that Jared the subway guy. Now stunlocked beyond repair, Himchin's face goes pale while Unbin happily pulls out a wedding invitation card specifically tailored for our boy since they go way back, where she even informs him that he must come no matter what. Rest in peace, Himchin. So fast forward, the next day bro is already going through it as he tries to replay everything in his head to see if he could have done anything better, but our boy is clearly regretful that he did not whip out his golden ticket in retaliation. Bro then continues to face palm and wishes that he reverse Uno carded her right there and then, but his inner demons get silenced by some resemblance of morality, even though our boy could not stop thinking about those legendary assets belonging to his childhood crush. Suddenly, as our boy is still down bad for Unbin, and with his banana tree rising up like never before, he gets ganked by the manager because he's wondering what the heck he is doing this late at work since everyone else went home, and it's almost midnight. After making up the excuse that our boy is here just to finish up a report due this week, he gets surprised when she orders him to just go home, knowing full well Himchin is not going to be doing any work after figuring out bro is drunk out of his mind. Upon getting up and packing his stuff to get ready to head back home, the manager continues to watch while glaring at him, busy thinking this dude is absolutely worthless since he is always in a mess 24/7. However, things get real super quick when our boy's face disappears after hearing the manager berate him over and over, so you all know Himchin is about to turn into the clapping monarch when she tells him that he should just quit because he is absolutely worthless. Now that he had enough of people stepping over him all his life, Himchin decides to go for revenge against the manager by finally reaching for his sussy ticket, as he plans to use it on her for being a relentless meanie to him for no reason at all. One blink later, Bro actually pulls out the overpowered ticket and orders the blushing manager to cosplay invisible clothes whilst putting the ticket into her face like some kind of got-you mechanic. But things don't go according to plan as she seems to be unaffected by his commands, causing her to smirk, so our boy repeats himself, but still nothing happens other than the manager asking if this is the same golden ticket he showed her a few days prior. Himchin then tries for another command since he knows third time's the charm, but it still does not work, causing him to tremble in fear, realizing that it has to be Jover for him now if this thing does not randomly start working in the next few seconds. As such, our boy quadruples down by flipping the ticket on the other side after reading the fine print, where he then tries to emulate the voice of Kaiba by channeling his master dual skills to summon his pot of greed. A few seconds later, it somehow works as the manager actually went to remove her diamond-plated pants right in front of our boy, which ends up revealing a monster-level dump truck that could rival any fake Brazilian or black-style fresh bakery. Of course, Himchin's dragon fruit awakened instantly after seeing his first ever in-person invisible clothes reveal up close, causing him to be hasty as he took it upon himself to remove the rest of the armor on his opponent, as it is time to finally rock and roll. With no status windows appearing anywhere or any kind of obvious magic spell taking hold of the manager, it seems to me something is off, but Himchin does not mind due to all the blood rushing down below, so he orders her to sit on top of his computer desk. Shortly after, Himchin transforms into a weird Beka as our boy ends up laying on her lap like a baby for some reason, busy wanting to see some double milk chocolate pretzels up close whilst asking her to prep his Ender Dragon for their 1-versus-1 duel. Eventually, as she warms up his Korean corn dog in her hand, microwave bro finally goes on offensive for the first time in his life by trying to garner as much lactose-free milk as he can, since he saw this special move in movies before. So after draining as much as a gallon of milk within just a few minutes, bro plops down his manager on a nearby table and proceeds to cosplay a farmer ready to plow his field, as it is time for harvest season. But just when bro began to initially harvest the sussy field in front of him, since he planned to become vegan by putting his own seeds in his manager's plot, her phone abruptly started to ring at the worst time possible. Luckily for our boy, though, he realized this was a prime opportunity for him to fulfill his fantasy of accepting a call for someone while doing some rice cake destroying, so Himchin ends up answering the phone for her, where it is discovered that the manager's boss is the one calling. With the sussy turntables now turning, bro began to ramp up his offensive attacks by pulling out special sussy jutsus left and right, while the manager was on the phone trying her best to subdue awkward sounds she might accidentally procure. Unfortunately for the manager, though, our boy pulled out a forbidden technique that involved 2 simultaneous special moves so crazy that her eyes evolved into heart ones, causing her to accidentally make continuous weird sounds on the phone. To make matters more interesting during this duel, bro decides to level up the playing field by going for his patented 5-star attack, since he always wanted to do this in real life, and now is the perfect chance for him to leave an imprint on someone important. Regardless, after landing 2 enhanced direct attacks right in the middle of his manager's brand new bakery, she reacts surprisingly well, making more heart eyes pop out, so we already know who is truly winning in this sussy 1-versus-1 duel. Anyways, Himchin's attacks were so powerful and strong that the manager accidentally lost all composure, where she then blurted out begging for our boy to continue his offensive attacks all night against her township, so she had to catch herself lacking. Upon hearing her request to keep going with his behemoth rampage for the next 8 hours, he shyly asks if she is sure about it, but then the manager tracks back on her words by claiming that she was just joking and only wanted to see his reaction. Clearly, the manager is not joking, as it looks like she's getting sent to the sussy dimension every other spear tip attack. So the two end up actually doing some rice cake destroying for the next few hours until she literally passed out. After losing consciousness for just a few seconds, our boy decides to call it quits, as both of them already crossed the finish line multiple times tonight, and he wants her to be able to recover for tomorrow to make it seem like nothing ever happened. As such, bro lets her re-equip every fully enhanced diamond armor that was on the ground while busy staring at her the entire time, but at least he was a gentleman by complimenting the manager on her beautiful looks. Now that she was situated and ready to go home, bro quickly bids farewell and rushes home, knowing he got some late night raids to do with his friends busy waiting on him, but it looks like the clapping bug got the manager all up in her feels. Fast forward to the next morning, Himchin had the bright idea to quickly go back to the convenience store he won the ticket at, as he feels lucky again today. So maybe he might win 2 in a row, as Lady Luck could have him become the chosen one. However, upon making it to the front of the store to greet the clerk, he finds an old man that tells him they do not sell tickets here at this store. And since he is literally the sole owner and worker here, he has no idea by what he means when Himchin asks if the cute girl was still working here. Nonetheless, bro tries to pinch himself awake to make sure he is not dreaming, but he screams when he pinches himself too hard, so he ends up going to every other store on the block to see if anyone else sold those sussy type of tickets. As he continues to search for the lucky golden ticket store by store, Himchin's heart sinks more and more when not a single one even resembled something close to what he bought from that fateful day, so bro starts thinking he might be going cuckoo. With no luck in finding anything all day, bro ends up skipping work and heads back home absolutely distraught, as our boy begins thinking that maybe he was in some kind of sleep paralysis type of deal the past few days, as everything was too real to him. However, just when Bro was about to hang up his banner to go grind ranked, it began raining, and upon hearing a familiar voice, he looks up only to see that he got ganked by the same beauty from the other day. The girl then flashes a smile before asking Himchin if he would like to buy it again, as it looks like he is down in the dumps today. But just when things were looking to be up for our boy, Bro turns the sussy turntables again by deciding to directly point at her to accuse her for being an Indian call center scammer, claiming that the ticket she was giving him was not even real at all. Regardless, the mysterious beauty ends up getting Himchin all riled up in his bunches when she makes the great point that it worked in the end, so she has no idea why Bro is all mad at her now for no reason. Luckily for our boy though, the girl does not mind Himchin's attitude, as she thinks he is probably salty after losing his rank placement matches, so instead, she ganks him super close and squishes his right arm in between her angel-like personalities. In an instant, a third arm appeared, trying its best to poke through his garments, as Bro cannot believe his luck, whilst the girl continues to ask Himchin if he would love another ticket since she can give him another one right now. Wow, such a generous person, so our boy decides to ask for 1,000 tickets since he apparently can get as many as he wants. But then it dawned on him, what's the catch causing Himchin to want to know more about these crazy life-altering jackpots? After an hour of yapping about how the entire thing works, it's revealed to Himchin that he's the only one that can win the lottery. And what's even crazier is that he is the only one that even knows of its existence. Suddenly, she pulls out a juice box and places it on her twin towers and proceeds to further explain that the only catch is that he cannot give out the tickets to his friends, and that each time he buys one, it will cost him exactly $1. Nonetheless, the girl giggles and mentions that there is a chance that one day he might pull out a last-place jackpot ticket, so he better be ready for what that entails, as something special is waiting for him. Also, there is the fact that every time he uses the ticket, the person who uses it on will remember everything that happens during the rice cake destroying, but they won't ever remember why they did it or how it even happened in the first place. Now equipped with the knowledge of how everything works, Bro buys 2 tickets, since he is broke as hell, and upon spending all of his money, the girl gets up to leave, whilst letting Himchin know that she will be here at this exact time every week. But just before she disappeared into the mist, our boy shouts at her and asks why she is being so nice to him, only for her to look back and warn him that things may not always be nice at all times. So she tells him to be careful since he might regret things later on. 2 seconds later, the girl poofed into the air just like my farts, and our boy barely looks like he even cares about the warning, since his blood is too busy rushing down after receiving 2 more magical tickets to use on anyone he wants. As such, Bro rushes back home and instantly jumps on his bed looking like a high school girl that just got her crush to confess to her, but the difference is that this dude is a sussy Becca ready to do some more Gorgon the Destroyer type of beat. Nevertheless, as Himchin is busy brainstorming on who should use it on next, like maybe some kind of famous K-pop idols or something, a girl randomly bursts through his door with a huge smile on her face. Turns out the bombshell was actually one of his neighbors who always shows up to his apartment whenever they need help with technology, so she's basically a boomer, but she do be carrying some boom booms, if you know what I mean. We then discover that her name is Miss Miju, a divorced woman that has a daughter at the same age as him. She's pretty nice, and whenever she needs something done on her laptop, she returns the favor by cleaning his rooms without even being asked to do so. Regardless, the sussy Fire Nation attacked when Bro went to check her browser history, as she wanted him to clear it, since she thought it would make her laptop get faster, only for our dude to find out that she has been mostly visiting sites that ends with hub. Now caught in 4K right in front of her neighbor, our boy was nice enough to try and give her an excuse out of it, but she ends up being speechless instead of taking the quick escape by making something up. To make matters worse for her, Bro lets her know that if she wants him to clear everything, then she needs to remember all her passwords, so she ends up revealing the fact that it is totally fine for him to delete it all, as she has it all written down in a notebook like a true sussy Becca. With things getting more awkward between them the more seconds pass by, the tense atmosphere gets resolved when his laundry saves the day by finishes up giving Miju an excuse to quickly leave the room to her, as she wants to go check on it. Of course, as Miju is not the only sussy person in the room, our boy decides to further investigate her history before she comes back, as his curiosity got the better of him. So Bro ends up growing a banana tree when he realizes the sweet old lady posts original content on them. Meanwhile, Miss Miju is too busy feeling embarrassed, so she ends up cringing about the entire ordeal after getting caught lacking by our boy, so she starts thinking about making a break for it before Himchin even notices she's gone. However, right before she was able to ninja her way out, she gets ganked midway laundry flip, causing her to drop the entire basket she was holding, as she did not expect Bro to come so soon. Our boy then tells her that the reason he is ganking her right now is not because of his laundry, but because he wants to use his trap card on her, so Bro ends up whipping out the golden ticket right in front of Miju's face. Now faced with a random ticket, even more awkward silence ensues as Miju looks unaffected by its tremendous powers, but since Miju is so sweet, she tries to accept the gift even though she never ever buys tickets herself. Regardless, after another minute of the ticket not giving Himchin Alpha Skibbity Rizzler powers, our boy finally realized that he forgot to scratch off the jackpot, so he quickly uses his nails to try and salvage the situation as he wants rice cake right now. Unfortunately for our boy though, after scratching off everything, it's revealed that his ticket gave him second place powers, meaning that this one is only good for getting his Mountain Dew Slurpee drank by his opponent. So with our boy totally down bad now like usual, he reminds himself that getting his plant watered by Miju is better than nothing, so he says screw it and redeems the ticket on the unsuspecting divorced neighbor. With heart eyes now appearing on Miju's face without them even starting their initial 1-versus-1 sussy duel, Bro gets ready to do a marathon, but for some reason, his plan backfires when Miju randomly started shaking before shouting at him saying no. Luckily for him though, she meant that she does not want to do their sussy 1-versus-1 in the laundry room, so the two end up moving to his bedroom for a less embarrassing room since Miju looks more classy than trashy unlike Bad Baby. Now, with both ready to embark on an unforgettable journey like a Disney cruise, Miju begins filling the room with sussy air as she cannot understand why she really wants to drink Himchin's Mountain Dew Slurpee, but it's totally okay since she got no hubby no more. One blink later, Miju sprung into action like a brand new trampoline, so she ends up swiftly removing our boy's protective layer of armor to unravel Himchin's awakened dragon fruit that looks like it's primed for a perfect water-breathing technique. But with his battering ram now in pole position for a direct attack, Miju pauses for a moment, totally shocked that Himchin's defensive battering ram is so large since she probably forgot what a non-old one looks like. She then continues to stare and do nothing for a minute, so she ends up accidentally catching his banana tree plantation ooze a little bit of slime, but since Himchin is a true gentleman, he asks her if she wants to stop their duel. Nonetheless, Miju rejects Himchin's offer of stopping their 1-versus-1, so she began attacking like a giraffe getting ready to eat lunch from the top branch, but while doing so, she asked herself if this really is okay since her son is literally the same age as our boy. Meanwhile, Bro looks like he's already getting sent to the sussy dimension with less than a minute of Miju's intense Slurpee drinking technique, but I do not blame him as the boomers got those decades of experience under their belt. Anyways, our boy tries to channel the Gandhi technique to defend against Miju's prowess with his eyes closed since he knows if his volcano erupts at any moment then his ticket will be done as it is only valid for one explosion style jutsu. Suddenly, the sussy turntables turn again when our boy pushes his luck and goes for Miju's watermelon juice maker since he realizes that technically he can do this, as this is just a simple demand that will still end with him only redeeming a 7-Eleven Slurpee special. 1 minute later, his eyes turn white like a menace ready for a Netflix special, busy using both hands to defend Miju's attacks, but it looks like the roles got reversed and now our boy is the one on the offensive. Unfortunately for our boy though, Bro went too ham like turkey ham, causing him to accidentally use up his one and only explosion-style jutsu, and as soon as it exploded, Miju regained her usual consciousness. She then instantly did a fade away from our boy, gathering enough distance from his basket, allowing her to start apologizing for what happened, claiming that she does not know what the heck caused her to go loco in her doko. So now back to her usual senses, Miju quickly grabs her laptop and makes her way outside Himchin's apartment, telling him that it would be wise if they stopped seeing each other from now on, whilst our boy stood there with no defensive leg armor. But Bro ain't done with Miju yet, so he quickly grabs his second set of golden ticket powers and begins scratching it right in front of Miju again as he is totally next level down bad now. For some reason, Miju actually stops and waits for the dude to actually finish scratching it all off, while our boy's dragon sword is still out in the open for anyone to see if they randomly walk out to the shared hallway. Nevertheless, Himchin is successful this time as Lady Luck gave him the jackpot first place finish, like the first time with his manager, so he quickly redeems it to make sure he can finally do the real rice cake destroying. After redeeming it faster than any Olympic sprinter around, Bro sits there patiently waiting for Miju to freshen up, but Bro starts having second thoughts about these special tickets since he thinks he might get too greedy one day. He then starts thinking about stopping all this nonsense from now on after he finishes up a real duel against Miju, but as soon as she came out after freshening up, Bro lost all his logical thoughts within a second and began rising his phoenix from the ashes again. A couple blinks later, we find our boy already getting in position for his primal attack like an absolute menace since Miju is ready waiting for him. So for sure this sussy baka will continue buying as many tickets as he can. With his dragon now ready to unleash a devastating awakened attack, Bro instantly destroys Miju's set of robes, which unravels the greatest set of wheels Bro has ever seen in his life that could even rival anything he has ever imagined in his dreams. Now faced with the greatest gifts on Earth Bro never thought was possible, His phoenix quickly grew past its maximum size, causing Miju to look away as she did not think our boy could double up his power level within seconds. Regardless, our boy can feel unease in the air even though Miju is under magical effects, so he tries to ease her nerves by asking her to list out her entire grocery list for tomorrow, whilst Kimchin tried his best to return the Slurpee drinking favor. However, when Bro tries out his patented Orochimaru blistering tongue jutsu, Miju faltered against his special attacks, so she ends up getting up and happily asks our boy if he would like to come over tomorrow for some green onion pancakes, her treat. After inviting Himchin over for tomorrow, she swiftly swaps defensive position and goes to plop on the bed with her own fresh blueberry pancakes directly pointed at our boy, so of course, he accepts the invite, since what kind of dude does not like pancakes with Canadian maple syrup? Surprisingly though, Bro asks Miju to flip over back to original defensive position since her fresh bakeries were too large for his truck to navigate through it, so he needed help in a face-to-face position. Sure enough, the change in position allowed for his rocket to home and directly to Miju's silo, which instantly made considerable impact on Miju as it landed all the way through the deepest of trenches, but this queen told our boy to continue in full force. As such, General Himchin channeled his entire forces to go on an all-out attack to destroy the gates of Miju, causing Heart Eyes to again pop out left and right due to the sheer force Miju has already forgotten about. Now that our boy is here to help Miju remember what romantic life is all about again, Bro decides to pull a Freaky Friday type of deal as he combos his direct attacks by Supermaning onto some undefended armpits like an absolute maniac. Things get even more weird when Himchin does the match her type of freak challenge as he began swapping his target onto some toes like that guy from the Blackhawks, catching Miju by total surprise as she did not expect him to dabble with toe fungus. So with the art now slowly getting worse frame by frame, the opposite was true in relation to Himchin's attacks since it got stronger and stronger, causing his opponent to look like she's about to pass out from all the legendary combo attacks he has been spinning up. Eventually, the sounds of birds can be heard when the two simultaneously combust after hearing Free Ren Season 2 was officially announced, causing both of them to cross the finish line at the same time. Now with their rice cake destroying officially over, Bro opens his eyes in hopes that Miju has yet to snap back to reality as he needs time to reload his ultimate weapon, so he might be able to sneak another one in before the magical powers subsides. However, as he patiently waits to see what's going to happen between him and Miju, he suddenly hears her talking to herself whilst randomly humming at the same time, so Bro looks like he's a bit spooked as this is something that was not part of his bingo card. Luckily for our boy though, this was actually a good sign since it turns out Miju is in a joyful mood, so she ends up asking our boy if he would be down for a second round of 1 versus 1 sussy duels since she is apparently a true sussy baka. Nonetheless, Bro is a bit taken aback, so he freezes for a moment like the Harlem Shake, unsure of what to say as he thinks the effects should have already worn off already, so there is no reason for her to eagerly ask for a round 2. Initially, our boy was already getting ready for it, but after hearing Miju sing and after double checking the fine print on his jackpot ticket, Bro became confused and started freaking out, especially after Miju randomly told him how it has been 10 years since she experienced rice cake destroying. With Bro now stuck overthinking everything, even though his Malphite down below is ready to use unstoppable force again, he decides to turn off his brain, so he picks up Miju like an absolute beast after doing so. Our boy then drops off his opponent on a nearby table to experience something he has always wanted to do in his head, and the next thing you know is loud sounds coming from the room, so Himchin is about to receive a lot of noise complaints from his closest neighbors. With round 2 of their duel now underway, Bro levels his attacks even more to the point that his power level is over 69,000, causing Miju to ask Himchin to do explosion jutsu inside. Of course, Bro obliges and happily does the largest explosion technique he has ever done in his life, but then it hit him. He had to go back to work like a normal person, so they both clean up and act like nothing ever happened. For the next few days of the week, Bro continued on his 9-to-5 life where he did not talk to either his manager or Mijo, but every time he was at work, his manager's silent passed by to give him some kind of weird look. Unbeknownst to our boy, his manager has become a sussy beka, as it turns out she has been pulling a baby reindeer on him by becoming a Martha, so she has began to closely watch him every day without Bro ever noticing as something is on her mind. We then discover that she has been spending her days at work being unproductive due to her being too busy wondering what took over her to become a sussy beka, unable to really find out the true cause that made her take a Himchin rocket to her treasure cove at work. We also learn that the manager's name is actually Hyen, and even the normal office workers have noticed Hyen acting super unusual since she usually is always uptight when deadlines are due, but now she barely berates anyone at work. Anyways, as she was out to take a breather outside, she inadvertently overhears a bunch of coworkers gossiping about her since they all know this tiger is single, causing her to remember how her dad always told her to work on her attitude or else she will be single all her life. Suddenly, a blurry yet wholesome Himchin comes out of nowhere and uses his hands as a way to protect Hyeon's ears from all the gossip, where he then tells her to not worry about them and to not listen to them at all. Bro then continues on and urges Hyeon to not bother getting mad at them since they always gossip about everyone, but as he tries to calm Hyeon down, she becomes speechless and begins blushing profusely, as she did not expect this loser to do anything. Now that it looks like Hyeon really do be catching some feels, she ends up running away as she does not know what to do, but as she runs, our boy can feel the earth-shattering movements of her bakery. But since this is cultured anime and with our boy armed with crazy luck, Hyeon ends up tripping over herself since her heels could not handle the weight of the giant bakeries it was carrying. Luckily for her though, right when she was about to ruin her very pointy nose by face planting directly on the asphalt down below, our boy came in and caught her last second, exactly like my man crush Henry Cavill. Of course, no girl in the entire world could easily ignore such romantic fated destinies like these two, causing team leader Hyeon to look like she got smitten again since she is left speechless. Eventually though, upon being put down by our boy, Hyeon caught herself lacking and instantly tried to fix her expression since she still has no idea why she is feeling this way towards him, so she ends up randomly ordering him to work the weekend. The team lead then turns around and storms off again while stumbling upon her words, telling our boy that he has to show up because she wants him to redo the report he submitted earlier for no reason at all, causing Himchin to evolve into Machin. Regardless, with Bro being unable to grind COD with the boys over the weekend now, he stops being a Machin and comes back down to reality when he instinctively goes back to staring at the manager's legendary meat seats, since who can blame him. At the same time, Hyeon is trying her best to give very opposite signals to Himchin to make sure Bro does not realize she is actually totally into him since girls will be girls, but we won't get fooled due to her always blushing profusely. Elsewhere, we find a new girl on the block named Yuna, and just like the others, she got those proportions that could rival the breakfast combo meals at Burger King since they are the bomb, but unlike the others, this one is a vlogger. A flashback then occurs detailing the fact that this girl works at the same company as our boy, but only on the weekends, so Himchin rarely ever sees her. But it's also revealed that Yuna is the sussiest one around due to the nature of her second job. Turns out, on her off days, she uses the rest of her free time to pull out some crazy content for her fans that require you to be a Tier 3 subscriber, so it is safe to assume this one secretly got a massive inflow of cash coming into her bank account. Nevertheless, since no one ever really goes to work at the company on the weekend, she's began to record or stream her day at work for her loyal subs, since no one really knows what her other side hustles are. However, just when she was about to start her stream to say hello to her simps, our boy popped out of nowhere fully surprised to see Yuna looking like she got set up for some kind of mukbang video. Now not wanting to get caught at the job for basically streaming company secrets, she's able to quickly hide away her selfie stick whilst making up an excuse that she is moving houses today. But since our boy could not care less about what she does, as Bro absolutely hates going in during the weekends, he decides to leave her alone when Yuna learns that the same report she looked over for him now has to be redone. Himchin does not blame Yuna, though, since both of them thought the report was perfectly fine, so now our boy is stuck busy daydreaming about all the XP he could have grinded out this weekend instead of rotting away at work. Nonetheless, the only thing stopping Himchin from being Ganichin right now is the fact that he was able to get one more lucky ticket from that mysterious lady for free since she bounced due to an emergency, allowing him to look forward to the end of the day. As such, Bro locked in and put on some music to go ham with his writing speed going well over 169 words per minute, but as soon as he was able to finish up editing his report, Hyeon was quick to reject it. Soon enough, the day was almost over, but Bro got rejected so many times that Yuna had to come over to help him out, as she could literally hear him slam the desk at the top of every hour across the entire office spanning multiple buildings. Still, with our boy trying his best combined with the full efforts of Yuna, the team leader constantly rejected his revisions, including ones he tried with ChatGPT, causing Bro to go crazy, until Yuna asked him if he did anything to make the manager mad. Elsewhere at the team lead's house, we find out that the true reason she has been rejecting all of his new reports today is because she wanted to buy time for herself to look really good before planning to appear before him at the office. So with Hyeon putting on her most expensive and also sussiest types of clothing, she begins to practice her plan of showing up at the office and ordering Himchin to visit her at the meeting room, since we all know things are about to escalate. Fast forward 1 hour later, Hyan finally makes it to the office, and in anticipation of getting face to face with our boy, she lets her twin pyramids be more exposed than usual, only for her to find out from Yuna that bro already left the building. Now totally disappointed that she tried so hard to look like someone you pay by the hour in Vegas, she ends up losing all the drinks she brought as well, since she had to make up an excuse that it's not for her but for Yuna as a reward for being a hard worker. Regardless, with our boy exhausted after spending the entire day at work being unable to complete his report, bro ends up beelining it to the closest mall to get something to eat to try and regain back some energy. Eventually, Himchin decides to visit a brand new food place he has never visited before and proceeds to order a coffee in hopes that his drink will help him forget about his 9-to-5 life that includes the weekend nowadays. But as soon as he opened his mouth to try and order something else to go along with the coffee, the barista made his day worse by abruptly asking him to please exit the store, leaving our boy to be utterly confused. The girl then pointed behind our boy and explained to him that if he wants to buy something here, then he needs to wait in line like a normal person. So it looks like our boy got too distracted by her personalities. As such, Himchin proceeded to join the line, a bit embarrassed that he totally zoned out and did not notice everyone else waiting in line. But as he waits, Ro feels as if something is off about this place. A couple minutes later, the line dissipated, allowing for our boy to get a closer look at this purple-haired bombshell, making Himchin instantly awaken his dragon fruit as it went wild after seeing the barista's level 99 dumper. Unfortunately for our boy though, as soon as it was his turn to order his meal again, the very nice and cute barista transformed into a very rude and dismissing one towards him, probably because she got beef with him after trying to cut the line. She then continues to act super disinterested in taking our boy's order, and when bro had enough of her acting like this, the barista ended up making an excuse that it's her break time now, alerting bro that he needs to wait half an hour to order again. But when Himchin checked the app to see if it's true that she's actually on break, bro found out that she was just making it up, causing him to whip out the fated lucky ticket to stop the girl from walking away from him. And as soon as our boy activated the clause of his lucky ticket, which was a winning second place CPR on his banana tree clause, the girl quickly turned around and started to get more red than my hand-farmed tomatoes due to some force taking over her. So now that Himchin has brought out his secret weapon, we get fast-forwarded a few minutes later where we find the barista and our very angry bro inside one of the store's containment units, looking like they are about to initiate a sussy attack. But with the purple-haired girl ready to demolish some banana ice cream cake, our boy takes a moment to stop and think if this is really a good idea, because there are a bunch of customers already waiting for her to come back. And as soon as he began thinking about the customers, bro jinxed it, since they actually started complaining really loudly to the point that both the barista chick and himself could hear them yap all the way at the back of the store. So with time running out, Himchin advises her to hurry up and complete her sussy quest, since it would be way better for them to not get caught on the job, due to her being too slow releasing his caged dragon. Nevertheless, with another successfully redemption of a ticket, the girl uncages his mythical dragon, causing her to be taken aback upon seeing it, since she thought she would only see a cheap rubber ducky instead of a massive legendary one. After seeing our boy's Prince Behemoth out in the open, the girl gets second thoughts and tries to ask Himchin for forgiveness, causing bro to think that something must be off with the ticket today. But as he listens to her yap about how she always sends people to the back of the line for no reason at all, she ends up telling him that she picked on him only because bro apparently looked easy. Nonetheless, Himchin figures out that he just got gaslighted into thinking he cut in line earlier, so he decides to teach the barista a lesson by sending his blue eyes white dragon into offensive mode deep into enemy lines. And as he continually strikes with his white dragon, landing maximum hits every single time, Ro decides to get the most out of the situation by also reaching in and feeling out the defensive mounds on his opponent. Eventually, bro wants to complete his explosion jutsu, so he takes control of her abilities and turns up the speed of his attacks all the way past level 6.9. Unfortunately, when Himchin was just about to drop the ultimate technique to unleash his full power, maybe even go Super Monarch mode, the girl just stopped and noped out. As such, bro thought his ticket was bugged, completely bricked, but then he saw the fine print that was hiding the crucial info. At the same time, the worker popped up like an NPC with dialogue options. System malfunction, she declared, hitting Himchin with a verbal skill issue pop-up claiming it's not her fault his power meter didn't empty. So just as she was about to hit the exit door, Himchin activated his hidden ability, Big Brain Mode. This wasn't just a thought, it was a galaxy-sized brain move, a certified pro-gamer maneuver. He dropped the negotiation bomb, a replacement deal. She hadn't fulfilled the empty power condition, so he asked for compensation since the customer is always right. And somehow, she accepted without hesitation. Then next thing you know, she's yeeted all the other customers and slapped a server maintenance sign on the door. As such, our boy Himchin had successfully cleared the first stage and was leveling up. Fast forward like 15 minutes. The air was thick with anticipation. Himchin, looking suspiciously like he gained some serious XP, had spammed the exploit button and activated the loophole again. He froze for a sec, buffering, while his opponent geared up for round 2 by scattering 90% of her armor onto the ground, giving wardrobe malfunction jutsu. Suddenly, the ticket's buff started wearing off. The girl blinked, looking around like she just woke up from a fever dream, asking Himchin what the heck is happening right now. When he reintroduced himself, flexing that main character energy, she instantly went tomato mode again. "Cyan," she stammered, "I'm Cyan 22, just a part-timer here." She started yapping, spilling the tea about herself while Himchin, the sussy baka he is, saw his chance. So he activated the sussy beacon, deployed the Riz, and began his invasion. It was super effective. Critical hit. But while she was busy data dumping, Himchin was priming his ultimate weapon, getting his signature move ready. He lined up the pulse cannons ready to unleash the Giga Beam of absolute power when Cyan screamed, "Hold on." Apparently, his cannons exceeded the parameters of her personal rule set, so she started rambling about needing him to downscale to half the size before entering the kingdom, and then he could go full form. However, Himchin's brain blue-screened. What in the entire heck was she talking about? But then it dawned on him. Maybe this was her first rodeo. Is this your first battle?" he asked, genuinely shook. She instantly turned maximum crimson, looked away, and stammered, "No, of course not. I've totally yuled a guy before. Yeah, right." It was clearer than day she'd never skipped the tutorial on blending energies, never even attempted the sacred Dragon Ball Z fusion dance. So Himchin was flabbergasted because a girl with peak perfection and she'd never activated fusing forms, a sheer waste of potential, he thought. Regardless, the menace proceeded with the Fire Nation invasion protocol, but at least he showed mercy and slowed his attack speed for like 30 seconds. Then his intrusive thoughts won. He couldn't help himself, he went plus ultra, unleashing everything he had against a beginner. But here's the plot twist. The beginner? She was loving every moment. Cyan was built different, a certified freak of nature who absorbed skills like Kakashi copying jutsu. Suddenly, a loud ding shattered the moment. An IRL notification coming from the Uber Eats and DoorDash machine. Cyan froze, hitting the pause button on the power transfer. Shoot. Forgot to turn that off. Give me a sec. Real-world aggro. She apologized, rushing off to handle a coffee order. But Himchin, the ultimate sussy baka, saw another opening. Like the Flash activating instant transmission, he reappeared. Bro didn't respect the pause, so he resumed the duel while she was mid-coffee pour. Seconds later, Cyan's hands started trembling, nearly dropping the cups. Clutch save though, she didn't spill a drop. Crisis averted, only for another one to pop up immediately. Cyan hit order complete on the machine and ding. The delivery dude's NPC unit was inbound, already on the way, causing Cyan to yelp hurry, saying to activate the pulse cannon ultimate explosion before he gets here. However, Himchin hesitated. "Whoa, you sure? You might pass out." But Cyan gave him the send it permission, the all green. So he powered up again, the energy surging. It's over 9,000. But as the power level spiked, Himchin couldn't help but have second thoughts. Were these ticket powers even real? But as he's busy mid-quest, pouring all his mana into Cyan, attempting the legendary transfer of power, a wild bell sound from outside rang. A delivery dude looking every bit like an unsuspecting NPC waltzed in. His jaw then dropped harder than a drop mic at a bad open mic night when he saw Cyan looking like she just survived a Saitama punch, all disheveled and looking like she's on low battery. After noticing her current state and seeing her straps all over the place, he got worried and asked if she's okay. "I'm fine," Cyan mumbled, though her energy level was clearly hovering near zero. Turns out Himchin didn't just deliver some power, he dropped the most power he'd ever conjured in his entire life. Himchin, however, was feeling amazing. He strutted out of the store, still in disbelief that he was able to do all of that, practically skipping on his way home. Nonetheless, he pulled out the ticket from his pocket, gazing at the final pristine page, but with only one left, he needed to make sure he used it well. So just as he was getting lost in his head, his phone rang with an unknown number. He'd accept only to hear a girl with a very raspy voice that would make all guys crazy, but then he realized who it was. "Yunbin? Bro, your wedding's like next week." "This is sus," Himchin replied, genuinely weirded out. But hey, boys will be boys. So with his sussy baka powers activating upon asking her if he's free, he tells her he is because he just finished work a few minutes ago. After hearing that Himchin has no plans, Unbin's eyes disappears and informs our boy she's really bored and claims that her husband is gone, so she asks him if he's down to go out. Himchin, however, pulled a tactical retreat and tells her he doesn't want to because he's feeling full already. Unbitten then went full Sunbeer turned down bad mode, trying her best to see if there's any other tinies free tonight to no avail. But with Himchin, feeling the pressure but also mysteriously powered by his ticket, simply said, "I will let you know before hanging up." Fast forward a few days. Himchin was deep in meditation, clutching his precious ticket like it was the One Ring, reflecting on his past deeds. "Can't believe I coasted unbitten. Past me the simp would be crying right now," he mused, remembering college where he was basically her loyal sidekick, always ready to deploy at a moment's notice. He felt like he'd unlocked a new character trait, unavailable Chad. But here's the kicker. The real reason he stood her up? He was hoarding that last ticket page. He wanted to use it on Unbin. He was strategizing like when I'm saving my rarest items for the final boss. But just as he was deep in this complex internal debate, he was unexpectedly ganked. Manager Hyen appeared, looking suspiciously dressed up. She then launched into a barrage of seemingly useless questions, clearly trying to initiate a Get Closer side quest. Then, without Himchin even needing his ticket's sacred power, Hyen deployed her ultimate skill, the legendary Twin Dragons technique, placing them strategically close to his face. She kept coincidentally spamming this move, and when Himchin's internal alarm bells went off louder than an anime OST, he finally realized something was definitely different with his manager. This wasn't her usual self. But after enduring her random tasks and the relentless Twin Dragon's assault, Himchin decided to channel his inner newfound confidence. He locked eyes with her and straight up asks her if she wants to go out right now to grab some drinks. She initially tried to play hard to get, mumbling about being swamped. But the pressure cracked her facade faster than cheap glass, so she ends up agreeing. Half an hour later, they were at Hyen's chosen battleground, her favorite restaurant. She wanted to show him her secret base. But before the first sip of their drinks, Himchin, now radiating Chad energy, cut to the chase. "So, anything you want to tell me?" Hyen, perhaps wanting to prolong the confession arc, smirked. "Sharing secrets right away isn't fun." She then proceeded to start downing drinks like she was powering up for a boss fight. But 2, maybe 3 cups deep, and Hyen was already looking wobbly. "Heh, Himchin, you got questions too?" She slurred, batting her eyes. However, Himchin, still unsure if this was leading anywhere romantic or just a drunk rambler arc, considered using his ticket power to know her true feelings. But nah, this called for a different kind of battle. So while leaning forward, he decides on a game instead, telling Hyen whoever taps out first has to answer the opponent's questions.